We don't talk about money or sex in America.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Money Is Show. It is your host, Andrew. Again, dressed in a casual outfit. We'll see how long I keep this, but it's a unique look for me. And of course, my guest immediately brought it up when he got here. But look, today we got a really, really cool topic for you that I personally freaking love, which is cryptocurrency. And if you haven't ever done crypto, I have personally bought crypto. I've invested in crypto. If you haven't bought it, you should look into it. I'm going to ask a ton of questions today to our guest. His name is Spencer Montgomery. Make sure you write his name down, Spencer Montgomery, and his company, which I freaking love his company name. More importantly, I love his website domain because I love marketing. And his company name, if I say this right for you, Spencer, is Uinta Crypto. Uinta Crypto. And we'll put that, it's spelled very uniquely, so we're going to put it in the show notes here for you so you guys have it as well. UintaCrypto.com is the website as well. So I'm going to bring him on. We're going to break down cryptocurrency for you, Bitcoin. Should you invest? Should you not invest? Where should you invest? How does it work? So let's get it to Spencer. Spencer, glad you came to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Dude, it's a perfect fit for me because the show is about money, and crypto is money, and it's like a new form, new age of money, all right? And obviously there's a lot of questions like floating all around the crypto world, and it's becoming probably a little bit more mainstream right now versus what? 8 years ago when it like first was coming out. When did it first come out?
In 2009.
Yeah, so we're a decade into it.
It's a lot more mainstream than it was even 4 years ago.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
A lot of adoption just in the last 2 years.
It's funny, we were on our YouTube channel with all of our shows, we were, the guys were setting up some different marketing programs, whatever, and literally some of the programs, one of them, you had to pay in Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash, or they use like 3 or 4 options, but it's all crypto.
Yeah.
Is literally like the only way. I'm like, can you take my debit card? And it was like, no, you can pay with these 4 right here. But obviously way more mainstream right now. But I wanted, obviously, there's also a lot of skepticism, right? From a lot of people that are maybe watching right now, have heard of crypto, not invested in it, or maybe they invested and lost all their money. They, maybe they threw $1,000 at it or something and got some advice from a brother's friend's uncle's cousin.
Yeah.
Who watched, a blog on it or something.
Where all the best advice comes from.
Yeah, of course, it's breaking news advice from that side. So I want to, because I do like it, I do believe in it. So I want to play both sides here with you, right? I want to play the side of ask you the questions, and I want to play the side of skeptic and just ask you the hard-hitting questions. And you can call me Don Lemon for the day. And I don't know if I can say that or not on CNN, but I'm the new Don Lemon here. And so let's go through some stuff here. First of all, give the viewers a little bit of just, start us off high level. What was it like growing up, Spencer, growing up here?
So I grew up a passionate golfer. I played my first competitive golf tournament at 6 years old.
Yeah.
And I lived and breathed that all growing up. I didn't think I grew up in a wealthy home. Looking back, I did.
Oh, wow, cool.
My parents did a good job of kind of shielding that
from
me. Felt like things were limited, and so just a really great childhood. I was the oldest of 4.
Okay.
But grew up golfing every single day.
Any other sports or just golf?
I mean, I dabbled in basketball and water skiing, but golf has really been what I've been passionate about.
And you still play today too?
All the time.
All the time? It's funny because you're probably one of the rare people that brought the golf clubs up in my office. When you came in my office earlier. Most people bring up the autographs or the money or the bricks or whatever historical thing I got in there, and you brought up golf clubs because I have a set in the green room where you guys are in, and it's a pretty nice set too.
When I started my company, I originally went with Crypto Golfer because I wanted to be branded as the crypto golfer. But I feel like I can leave that on the side for now. Yeah,
I like your name now a lot better. Uinta Crypto than Crypto Golfer. You're the oldest of 4. I'm the oldest of 4. Well, you got 3. You got 3 siblings, sisters, brothers. What do you got?
Yeah, so 2 younger brothers and a sister.
Okay.
The cool thing is my youngest brother and I were born on the same day, 11 years
apart. No way.
So
same day, but 11 years apart.
Twins, separated by 11 years.
Yeah, twins from 11 years. That's cool, man. And Scott, who you met in my office as well, I think he'll be out here in a second. Scott is a twin.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll be working with Scott probably a little bit and say, yeah, Scott is an actual twin. Born on the same day, not 11 years apart. But cool, man. So let's talk about crypto a little bit. I know you got a book coming out that's getting ready to be released. And I know you got a ton of videos on your website and so forth. I want to get into some of this stuff with you. Just in general right now, tell me high level view, what does your business do right now for the public?
So I'm trying to solve the problem for people of they've heard about Bitcoin, they don't know where to begin, it's super overwhelming. I want to cater to them to give you a very simple, very concise way to understand the opportunity of investing in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies.
Gotcha. Yeah, because obviously there's especially now, there's all kinds of news sources for crypto, right? There's all kinds of freaking blogs, articles, channels that are all crypto driven, if you will.
There's a ton of noise.
Yeah, yeah.
And for one to get the knowledge to adequately invest is going to spend hundreds of hours.
Right.
I mean, I spent 4 years studying to get to the conviction that I have about it.
Right.
And I want to fast track people to that conviction.
Yeah. I agree. You know, you came to my office and asked me, you made a statement, you're like, man, I'm surprised that me are not more into or knowledgeable in crypto. And yeah, my answer was like, basically going off what you're saying, like, dude, there's only so much a person can master. And I think it's a mistake that a lot of business owners and investors make out of the gate is they try to master like all these different components, and they're going to be a master in crypto and a master in real estate and a master in day trading and options. And it's like, dude, you cannot be a master in all that stuff because basically what you just said, there's so much stuff you'd have to consume in one of them, that it's like, you have to dedicate your life to understanding that game and master that thing.
Right.
If you follow Andrew Carnegie at all, and I have if you saw his autograph in my office, I love Carnegie. And one of the things he said that I always have loved is he said, put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. And
then watch that basket like a hawk. And he's talking about investing, basically, your time, money, whatever it is. Which I think is so true. Like, as you grow, like, we all have different gifts. Pick yours and be great at that thing right there. And which is why, in my world, I bring in people like you that are great at your topic of choice and network with them and try to spend time with you and let you be that sounding board of expertise. And vice versa, it's like I could do it in real estate for you, but I couldn't do it in stock for you, right? But I know a guy that does stock, that's a hedge fund manager I could connect you with. Because there's so much stuff. And I think almost like crypto is almost like,
it's on steroids.
It's like blown up with information right now.
You have to be an expert on economics. You have to be an expert on new technology,
money.
Blockchain.
Yeah,
and
blockchain.
Money.
Yep.
And
economies in the different countries that are going on with it, right?
Right. There's just so many moving pieces.
Yeah. It takes a full-time person that just wants to eat, sleep, and breathe it.
And I feel like I'm barely keeping up with how fast the space is moving.
Yeah.
For someone that has a full-time job, has kids, has everything to do on their plate, has a business that they're running, you can't keep up with it.
I'm telling you, there's just no way. Like I dabbled in it for a while. Like I had the news alerts hitting me, and I was reading certain things constantly and learning. I'm like, dude, there is just so much information coming at you, and then you don't know what's right and what's wrong, what's true, what's false. Because it's kind of like, especially when it first was coming out, it was almost like I felt like it was this like black market. I didn't know if what they were telling me was true or Reddit information. Like I was like, eventually I just said, okay, I'm out. I cannot keep going this road. I'm gonna have to find someone who eats, sleeps, and breathes it.
And I went through the same process.
Yeah.
I got shaken out several times because of reading articles of like, this is a tulip bubble and it's gonna crash any minute.
Right.
And I fell for that.
Sure.
And I didn't know the principles of how to value Bitcoin. Why does the price at 18,000 actually make sense and is a good buy? I didn't know.
Right.
Like when I bought Bitcoin for the first time at $600 and it runs up to $2,000, I'm thinking I'm a genius and like, why don't I cash out now?
Yeah.
I had no idea that would go up to 19,000.
Now, unique thing for those that are watching right now, you were an early investor in Bitcoin.
I mean, relatively.
Yeah, relatively. I mean, $600 it's been a long time since it was $600, right? I'm not saying you bought at 3 cents, but 600 is low for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I don't know. It hasn't been there for, I don't know, a decade?
Well, in 2016 was the last time it was at $600.
It was that low in 16? And so you were early buyer into Bitcoin, and you were telling me some numbers in there, like you invested X amount and you made $1 million. What was the numbers?
Yeah, 13,000 into 1.2 million.
So you invested $13,000 when it first came out, or when you first bought or whatever. You invested $13,000 into Bitcoin.
Into Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Ethereum.
And then with all of the new cryptocurrencies that came out in 2017, I started dabbling in those, and through my whole portfolio grew to 1.2.
1.2, and then you sold and took out the 1.2.
Yes.
From your crypto of $13,000 investment.
Yes.
Now that is freaking crazy. You start to hear stuff like that, which is kind of what creates so much energy around crypto world. Is that like there is this opportunity? I hit big on Ripple. I told you about, and I'm not endorsing you guys should buy Ripple, but I got into it. I bought early, and you can. Which I think creates this hype of making it big on crypto.
Yeah, so there's really, when you talk to anybody about crypto, there's two really reactions that people have.
Okay.
And it's the same reactions I had. The first is they have a fear of missing out. And people, especially when Bitcoin is running, I remember in 2017, there was all this craze and people were buying at 15, 16,000.
Yeah.
They just feared that everybody's gonna get rich without them.
Yeah.
The other fear is that they've already missed out. They see Bitcoin at 18,000 today and they say, that opportunity has already come and gone.
It sailed.
It sailed. I felt that way buying Bitcoin at 600. I thought, man, I don't know
probably
how
getting
much
screwed
more
on
this
this.
is going to go. But I'll experiment on it, and that's really what I'm trying to address and help people get over is solving both of those fears.
Yeah, I think you're dead on the nail on that one. Is that in the crypto world, and it's a little bit in all investing, even in real estate, people kind of say that. But I think the crypto world again is just like on steroids on even that as well. Where people, when I talk to them, they're either like, "Oh man, I missed it.
Yeah.
I could have bought. I should have bought. My uncle told me to buy. Whatever it is, right?" And they feel like they missed it. Or the other side of it was they
fear that they're going to miss out on
the growth of it.
They see that it running.
Yeah.
And they buy at the wrong time.
Yeah, they see that
and then it falls,
crashes down,
and then they sell at the low, and then they just lost
all the money what they had in it. Dude, I think it's dead on in the crypto world. I think those that are watching that have thought about crypto, those thoughts that went through your head on both sides there. I know it's went through my head with crypto, right? Especially with kind of what it's doing right now as we're shooting this show, which may be different from when we release it. So pay attention. But yeah, I mean, it's on like a boom right now. A lot of these coins are right now.
It's the best performing asset of 2020.
Yeah, which is actually saying a lot. You think it's not saying that much because of COVID would hit, but actually there's been some stocks that have exploded during downtimes. And now when you say it's the best performing asset, you're talking like crypto in general?
Yes.
Or Bitcoin?
If you compare Bitcoin as an asset class compared to the S&P, compared to real estate, compared to those generic buckets.
Okay, so let's start breaking down some crypto stuff here from. And this is one reason that I was excited to have you on the show is because although you can speak into great detail, into great high-level philosophical reasons with highly educated crypto people, it's not really what you do though.
No.
Your forte, your angle is a little bit different.
I want to talk to the layman, the person that has never touched Bitcoin before, and to fast track their learning process.
Yeah, which is super unique because normally, just like anything else, right? If you grow, you start in real estate. As you grow, you kind of that side of it grows with you. Your investments grow, and your conversation grows, and your network grows, and so forth, right? And in Bitcoin, it's the same way, right? The more you learn, you just get deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And you went obviously deep into it, 13,000 to 1 million, and then came all the way back and said, dude, let me just show let's just say these words, maybe that may not be your definition, but let me just show the average layperson, what I kind of classify as that middle class, that person that's wanting to try to get ahead, want to succeed in life, wanting to do something different. A lot of our viewers are like that in the sense of maybe they're investing right now in real estate or stocks or whatever it is. They're owning their own business right now. They are trying to get ahead. Some of them have already made it, of course, but a lot of these guys and girls that are watching are trying to get ahead. That's really who you're talking to.
Well, and this has come from my experience. In college, my degree was in electrical engineering.
Okay.
It's one of the most difficult degrees, and I was one of those kids that just felt like they were drowning the whole time. Like my professors were speaking a foreign language.
Yeah.
And I just wanted there to be a way to learn these really important concepts in a much more simple fashion. And so I've taken that pain that I experienced and have just taking that to everything else in my life. When I understand a complicated topic, I want to make it accessible to everyone.
Does this tie into your book you're releasing? The same thing, or what's the book?
Yeah, I was sitting on a beach, when the best thoughts come to mind, and realized that there was not a resource available that would condense and simplify the opportunity of Bitcoin. There's books, there's YouTube videos, there's things that you would have to consume for 5 to 24 hours to understand the opportunity. I thought, why can't someone sit down and invest 30 minutes and understand everything you would need to know to understand what it is and what the opportunity is? And so that's what I did, and that's what I wrote.
What's the name of the book?
The book is called Bitcoin, You're Not Too Late.
That's a good title. Bitcoin, You're Not Too Late. And it's a 30-minute read.
30, 45-minute read, yeah.
About, I guess, how fast, slow you read.
And to give you context, my mom read it. And that was like the person I had in mind.
Yeah.
She's heard me talking with my dad and friends around the dinner table for 4 years.
Yeah.
And somehow she still didn't understand it.
Right.
And so she read it. She's like, okay, I'll finally sit down and read it. And she's like, finally, I finally understand what all the hype is about this.
So I know the book, as we sit right here, has not been released finally yet.
Not yet.
When is the expected release date?
Late January.
Late January.
Yes.
So depending when the show comes out, which we'll try to get that pushed out for you before that. The book should be released probably when the show's hopefully is airing right now. You guys can get a copy of it. If they want a copy of it,
it'll be free.
It'll be free copy?
Yeah, I want to educate the masses.
Where do they go to get a copy?
It'll probably be on my website, uintocrypto.com.
Uintocrypto.com.
Uinta.
Yeah, Uinta, that's what I said, right? Uintacrypto.com.
Yeah.
Where they get a copy of this book. 30 to 45-minute read.
Version, yeah.
They get a digital version for free, where you just break it down the process of how it works in an explainable way that anybody can understand. Is it just the basics of Bitcoin, or also like the kind of the high level of this is why it will work?
Oh, the high level of why it will work.
Okay.
A little bit about the history of money.
Okay.
Different ways to think about the valuation of Bitcoin. So
Okay.
it really covers everything that you should know in 30, 40 minutes.
All right.
Obviously, it's not going to tell all the secrets.
Right.
That's why I have a course to help you walk through understanding all the pieces, but it gives you enough to decide, do I want to learn more about it?
Yeah, do I want to make this part of my portfolio?
Yeah.
I'm going to go to that side for a second. I'm going to go to the side of, probably the most common question on the skeptic side is Bitcoin real? Is it here to stay? Is this long term? Is it always going to be the dollar in Bitcoin? Is the dollar going to go away one day in Bitcoin? Right? There's all this like skeptic of is it real? Is it not real? Right? Not that it's not real, because I can go sell my Bitcoin and get money for it. That's real money, or maybe both are real money. But it's obviously real because people are buying and selling it. But is it real in the sense of, is it here to take over? Right? Here to stay? Give us the background of, do you think Bitcoin is here to stay? Is it a forever currency? What is the concept there?
So you have to understand what is Bitcoin and what it isn't.
Okay.
It's not here to replace the US dollar. It's not here to replace a cash system.
Is that a common myth I think people have?
Well, I think that's what the creators really, kind of was hoping it would be.
Okay.
But because it's limited, it's only limited to 21 million, it's really become the store of value.
Okay.
In the same way that gold coexists with the dollar, the gold is a store of value, that's the same way that Bitcoin will coexist.
Okay.
Bitcoin is a store of value. It's a better version of gold.
So digital version, I think is what you said.
A digital version of gold. The question is, will gold and Bitcoin coexist? Because they're basically trying to solve the same problem.
Interesting. I haven't even thought about that angle.
I know a lot of gold bugs hate Bitcoin because they see it as a competitor. I think there's a marriage between the two, because gold has history, a lot longer history. But if you look at like the history and evolution of money hasn't always been cash. It hasn't always been backed by gold. Ancient civilizations used cattle and seashells and metal. And so this is just the next progression of what money is going to be.
So you look at Bitcoin more from the standpoint of it could and may, and maybe you can answer this, replace gold, not the US dollar.
Correct.
Is that how you view it?
Yes.
Is there other crypto people that view it that Bitcoin is going to replace the dollar?
Well, so the dollar is used for many purposes. It's used as the reserve asset for the world.
Okay, right.
But it's also used in our daily interactions of buying and selling things.
Right.
Bitcoin will never be used to buy and sell things. It's too slow.
Okay.
It's great for transferring large amounts of money. Could Bitcoin replace the US dollar as a reserve currency? That's a real possibility. It could be the basis that all other currencies or economies are based on. That
Okay.
is a real possibility. But for it to replace the use of the dollar or the won or the euro as the means of exchange, I don't think it will.
You don't think it would be that?
Replace that.
I want to go back because I want to make sure try to get an answer here from you. But are there other, let's say, crypto experts that think it will? Or is it kind of a general population that thinks, no, it's there to replace the gold? Is that kind of the general
Yes.
census?
Yes.
Okay, so from the crypto experts in say, your community,
Yes.
the kind of the census is crypto is not here to replace the dollar. It's here to replace gold, basically.
Yes.
The stored value of what money is worth, if you will, is what Bitcoin's really about.
Yes.
Okay.
Because governments are creating their own cryptocurrencies.
Right.
So digital version of the US dollar or digital version of the euro or the won.
Right.
So that's what we will continue to use. Bitcoin is another asset that will be acted as a store of value.
Okay.
So that because our governments have printed trillions of dollars,
Right.
and that value, that the purchasing power of those currencies are diminishing.
Right.
Bitcoin keeps that store of value.
We talk about government printing money. I have like 20 different angles I'm going to go with this, but let me go with government printing money. Eventually, you have to believe that it just won't work. Meaning, you have printed and printed and printed and printed to the point of, is there even a way to pay it back?
So, to be fair, governments are trying their best to save our economies from crashing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't want to talk too poorly on them.
Let me do that.
Okay.
Let me do that.
But this is history is repeating itself.
Yeah.
You know, countries go into debt and then they print more money to get out of debt.
Uh-huh.
You think about, do you know how much debt the U.S. is in?
Well, the national debt average, I think, just broke 20 trillion.
Yeah, it's like $27 trillion.
Yeah, yeah.
And that concept of trillion is so misunderstood.
And the amount of, one point before you go to that point is the amount of debt that we have went in the last like 20 years
Yes.
is astronomical.
Right.
Like if you look at 2000 national debt for America
Yeah.
to 2020 national debt in America is like, dude, what's the next 20 years gonna freaking do
I know.
inside of it, right?
But we have a hard time with big numbers.
Yeah,
I remember the concept of a million seemed like a lot, and now
Right.
we're trying to get used to a billion.
right,
But if we think about a million, I like to use it in terms of seconds.
Right.
So a million seconds
uh-huh.
is 11 days.
I mean, if you took a million seconds and added them together, it would
And
equal 11
11
days.
days.
Yeah,
Then you go to a trillion seconds.
we'll do a billion first.
A billion, okay, so a billion seconds is 31 and a half years.
So the difference between a million seconds and a billion seconds.
Yes,
A million seconds is 11 days,
yes.
and a billion seconds is 31 years.
years.
That's like mind-boggling when you stop and think about that. Like
I
you're
just-
so far apart.
I just turned a billion seconds.
Yeah, so you're 31.
Yes.
So
And
you're
I
a billion
have-
seconds old.
And I'm hoping I have 2 billion seconds left to live.
About 93
60
that
more
puts
years,
you,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
93. So a billion is 31 years. A million is 11 days. What's a trillion then?
31,688 years.
Shut up. 31,000 plus years.
Years. And so-
31,000 plus years.
The government printed $3 trillion just this year alone.
Yeah,
and
that's
we
not
are-
27 trillion that they're in debt.
No,
that's
we're
just
in-
that's just
but-
3 trillion that they did this year
You
with COVID.
literally couldn't count to a trillion.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
You couldn't count to half a trillion. Like,
Yeah.
we don't understand the concept of trillion.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when we're thinking about how governments have printed that much money and we want to preserve our purchasing power,
Right.
that's where it gets really important.
Yeah.
I imagine a lot of people watching this, that, they've worked really hard for their money.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing that they want to do is to worry about it being inflated away.
Yeah. Which it is.
Right. And so then you go to, what options do I have? And people can invest in the stock market, invest in gold. You talk to financial advisors, they hate gold.
Of course.
Gold cannot, it's like it's a fear asset. It's something that you would.
It's in the world buy.
Yeah, but what's awesome about Bitcoin is you are, at the same time as protecting yourself, you're also investing in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And there's never been an opportunity like this.
Yeah,
on
the crypto side.
Yeah.
So if we're recapping here for a little bit, Bitcoin is not there to replace the dollar. Is there by census is there to replace gold, is what backs the dollar. The trajectory of what we're doing in our government with
let
debt.
me pause you there.
Okay.
Gold does not back the dollar anymore.
Right. True.
It used to.
Right. In theory.
We've moved. Well, it used to. You could exchange a dollar for some amount of gold.
Yep.
It was in the 60s, I think, that Nixon took us off the gold standard.
I thought it was 1976.
Maybe it was the 70s. Yes.
I think it was, but it was Nixon that took us off with the gold standard, right?
And so now our dollars are really just backed by the faith and trust in our government and our economy.
I had a guy on the show yesterday, and he gave a super unique answer of money is, which I'll get yours, but his was, on that line right there, his was money is an idea backed by confidence.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, like that is literally, by definition, what the dollar represents.
Right.
It's just an idea that it's worth X,
right,
backed by the confidence of the people.
Yes.
That if I trade you this dollar for this, it has the value to it. We've all kind of simultaneously agree to it, of the value of it. So, and it's just an idea at this point.
So now let's look about Bitcoin and how it's being accepted as an idea of money.
Yeah.
Like, it's taken a while for us to get there, but we're getting there now. Public companies are putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet as part of their treasury management.
Uh-huh.
You have companies like Square, CEO'd by Jack Dorsey, who's also the CEO of Twitter.
Twitter, yeah.
They bought $50 million of Bitcoin that resides on their balance sheet.
When they buy it?
They bought that in September, early October.
Of 2020.
Of 2020.
Okay, so just recently, they dropped $50 million, Square did.
Yes.
Buying Bitcoin.
Yes.
And they're holding it.
Right.
Right? As
and
part
there's
of their
another
portfolio.
company that's, most people haven't heard of it, but it's called MicroStrategy.
Uh-huh.
The CEO had never bought Bitcoin before. Not before 2020, but he recognized that he had $500 million of cash sitting on his balance sheet, and was worried about inflation as economies stopped, but stock prices continued to grow. And so he went searching for what to do. And after a ton of research, he decided to buy Bitcoin. He didn't just buy a little bit of Bitcoin. Out of that 500 million, he bought $425 million of Bitcoin.
Wow.
And then 2 months later, he bought 50 million more. And then a month after that is offering a convertible note to buy $500 million more.
To raise capital to go buy more.
To buy more. Because he sees it, he has that belief that this is money.
Yeah.
And the only reason I feel like people haven't bought Bitcoin yet is because they don't understand it. They just they've bought into the false ideas that have been perpetuated by those that don't want Bitcoin to succeed.
Right. And there's a group that for sure does not want it to work.
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Yes.
When it comes to crypto, Bitcoin, et cetera, break them just high level, break it apart for us a little bit of, the word Bitcoin is thrown around a lot, and then you have Bitcoin, you have alternate coins, you have just the concept called crypto. Just kind of give the viewers just a high level view of breaking it down. What does it look like?
So Bitcoin is the king. It was the first. It's here to stay. There are replicas of Bitcoin that tried to make a better Bitcoin, like Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash. They have infinitely smaller market caps compared to Bitcoin. Bitcoin has already won that contest. And then you have platforms that enable you to build applications, these blockchain applications on top of it. And so those are platforms like Ethereum and Cardano and Polkadot. And it's just like the iPhone. The people love the iPhone because of the applications that it enabled for people to build and to use. Ethereum is a platform that enables people and companies to build on top of the blockchain.
Right.
And then on top of that, you have those applications that are built on top of those platforms are called tokens.
Uh-huh.
And those are just incentive mechanisms to get people to join a network or a company.
Mm-hmm.
And then in addition to that, you have what are called stable coins, and that's what these governments are starting to create, are their own cryptocurrencies that are pegged to the dollar or the won or the euro.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all different types of digital currencies, and they all serve different purposes. But Bitcoin has won as the solution as a store of value.
Let's say, because that went pretty deep, and I mean, I kind of thought, I'm like, what, stable coins? But to keep it for myself and for the viewers here, are all those underneath the umbrella of crypto though?
Yes.
Is all that kind of called,
Yes.
So the umbrella would be crypto, underneath it you have all these like Bitcoin, alternate coins, stable coins, et cetera,
Yes.
platforms
Right.
that are inside of it, and they're all underneath the concept of crypto.
Yes.
The main one out of the gate, the first one was Bitcoin.
Yes.
And Bitcoin is still king of the hill?
Yeah, and everybody's asking, well, what is the next Bitcoin? What's the next cryptocurrency I should buy?
Uh-huh.
And to be fair, anything besides Bitcoin is pure speculation.
Okay.
It's like buying Bitcoin before 2016, where we didn't know if they would win or fail.
Okay.
And so what keeps me able to sleep at night is that I have pure confidence in recommending Bitcoin. Anything else is, again, speculation.
Yeah, and there's companies that buy, or investors that buy all kinds of coins.
Yeah.
And I have, and I bought them for the sole purpose of to see, well, maybe it goes big and I'll win big, almost like lottery to a certain degree. Because you could buy, at some points I was buying coins for like a penny for different coins. I thought, who cares? I'll throw some money at it, and if this thing goes from a penny to $100, I'm gonna be freaking hitting the jackpot over here, right? And if I lose my money, it wasn't a ton of money, right? But it was strictly like, you call it speculation, but I would almost call it a gamble of what I was taking on.
Yeah.
Versus a Bitcoin, which is way more secure, stabilized, proven out process.
And there's valuation models that you can predict where the price is going to go.
Uh-huh.
With those other currencies, you really have no idea.
Now I know that with Bitcoin, there's 21 million coins that were created. They've never upped that in the last 11 years. They've never increased it, right?
Yeah, you can't
Unlike the Federal Reserve, who ups it constantly, right?
Right.
Or just reprints. The 21 million has always stayed. There's only 21 million, but not all of them are in use, because a lot of them have been, someone has bought them and lost information or whatever it was, and they're kind of like gone now, meaning you can't get them anymore.
Right.
They're off the market.
Well, first of all, when Bitcoin was launched, the 21 million were not all dumped on
Released
the
at one
market
time?
at a time.
Okay.
There's a release schedule that slowly releases the Bitcoin through the year 2140.
Oh, wow.
So we got a long ways till we get to the last one.
Okay.
But then as people have bought and they've put it on, taken off exchanges and put it in hardware wallets,
Uh-huh.
or whatever, like their hard drive, they have lost the password or the information to that, and it's gone forever.
That is a risk if you buying crypto or
Yes.
Bitcoin, is you are kind of the bank, and if you suck at banking, accounting, or keeping track of your own stuff, there is a way you can lose it and never recover it.
The whole the premise of Bitcoin is taking back control.
Yeah.
We've given control of our money to central banks, and
Right.
they have taken advantage of that power.
Yeah.
And so Bitcoin gives you back the responsibility. Now, there's a lot of responsibility there, and so those that have taken that responsibility without proper educating themselves
Right.
have then lost it.
Yeah.
But there's not like if you educate or do your homework, it's easy to take care and secure your Bitcoin. It's not a risk if you do.
Right. Yeah. For sure. I mean, it's just like any other password, except for on some of these you can't recover the password basically.
true, yeah.
So I'm saying if you wanted to be a full-blown dumbass, you could buy a bunch of
Yes.
Bitcoin, forget your password, and lose your money, and you can't just like call up a hotline and get your
Right.
password back. I mean, it's part of the beauty of Bitcoin is you're in control, and the risk for some people is, probably myself included, is you will lose passwords constantly.
Yeah.
And I have my password in multiple locations, in multiple safes written down,
Yeah.
because I was afraid of losing it, and I had to prep against it basically.
If that's a concern, there's plenty of things that you can do to never ever have that risk, and that's just to keep it on an exchange.
Yeah.
like Coinbase
Right.
or even Robinhood, where that risk doesn't even exist anymore.
On that note, let's talk about if someone's watching and they have never bought Bitcoin before, and we'll just use Bitcoin as the example here. It could be any crypto. They've never bought before, and they're sitting there thinking, man, maybe I should buy some Bitcoin. How would someone go about buying Bitcoin now?
There's really two really easy ways.
Okay.
The first one is just in Robinhood.
Robinhood.com?
Yeah, Robinhood,
Okay.
there's an app for it. You would log in, create your username and password, connect your bank account, and there's the BTC ticker, and you would just simply buy.
Almost like a stock.
It's just like a stock.
Yeah.
You can't take it off of that platform, just like you can't take your Apple stock and go somewhere with it.
Right.
The other, if you really want to own a real Bitcoin,
Yeah.
would be to set up an account with Coinbase.
Okay.
It is the easiest platform. They also have a website and an app. You would connect your bank account just like you would with Robinhood, and you would exchange your US dollars for a Bitcoin.
Okay.
And you would have it in a wallet.
When you're buying that Bitcoin itself at Coinbase, are you buying that from someone else, basically?
You're buying it from Coinbase.
Right.
Coinbase is acquiring Bitcoins and
then selling them.
selling it to you.
Okay. So
and you don't have to buy a full Bitcoin.
Right.
If you don't have
exactly.
$18,000 to buy one Bitcoin, you can buy a tenth, a hundredth, a millionth of a Bitcoin.
Right.
Whatever amount you want to start with,
Yeah, you can go buy.
you can go buy.
So the two ways to do it is Robinhood, kind of simplistic way.
Yep.
Right. It's almost like buying stock. It'd
Yes.
probably be very common to people
Yes.
who have not played the game before. Is just use
Right.
Robinhood, but they don't actually own it or control it. Really, Robinhood still
Yes.
kind of controls that. Or go to Coinbase, which you can then control it. It is yours, whatever percent or whole coin that you bought is yours. And then you can even move it off of Coinbase if you wanted to.
Correct.
And that's where you get into the cold storage or wallets, or whatever they're called, hard wallets or something like that.
Yes, exactly.
What are those?
Those are digital wallets. Those
Okay.
are just taking it off an exchange, because when it's on an exchange, you're still susceptible to the risk of an exchange being hacked or it going down. I mean, I recommend Coinbase because they are the most reputable firm in the space.
Right.
If Coinbase goes down, we got a lot of bigger problems.
Right.
And so I don't have any concern with people putting their
But if they wanted to, they could take it off of Coinbase and basically they're carrying it. I have this. They're carrying it in like a little digital USB almost.
That's exactly what it
It's
is.
just like your money's sitting inside this little digital wallet that you can hold in your hand. And if you lose that digital wallet, can you lose your money if you lose that digital wallet?
You can lose your money if you
Yeah.
lose that digital wallet.
Yeah, or the password.
Yes.
You could lose that because you're taking full control over it. Coinbase is not in control. It's strictly you at that point.
But imagine this. Let's
Which I think
say,
is really powerful.
right,
by the way.
because let's just say you're wealthy and you have $100 million,
Yeah,
and actually you've bought $100 million worth of gold,
yeah,
but you want to transport that because you're moving. Imagine transporting $100 million of gold
Yeah.
somewhere.
right.
Or you could convert it to Bitcoin, put it on a
Right.
hard drive, and fly halfway around the world, and it was absolutely free.
Yeah. They're super powerful. I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. A lot of the skepticism, negative side of it is that gives drug lords the same capability. Instead of having to carry, money mules, if you will, with backpacks full of cash across, they could buy Bitcoin and put it on a thumb drive.
They could, but people thought that Bitcoin was anonymous and you couldn't trace it. Bitcoin's way easier to trace than just cash is.
Okay.
So it's actually a worse use for criminals than
Interesting.
cash.
Because that was a big negative for a
The
while,
reason
wasn't it?
it was a negative, and that's what criminals use, because people didn't understand it.
Okay.
They didn't know how to trace it, and they didn't know how to track it. But it's, if you don't want to use something that criminals use, don't use the US dollar.
True. That's
Don't
another
you-
argument, right?
Don't use the internet.
You're saying the argument is, well, they're going to use Bitcoin to transfer money. If that's your argument, well, they're already currently using the dollar.
Right.
So why are you using that? Why
Right.
you're okay with that one, but then not the Bitcoin?
Yeah.
In theory, if they used it.
Right.
But again, Bitcoin is traceable
Yeah,
because you're going to see the purchase transactions going back and forth, the transfers.
Bitcoin got a reputation of being dangerous because the original exchange got hacked and people lost a lot of money. It also got a reputation for being used for malicious activities, and that's because originally there was a website called the Silk Road that you could buy and sell illegal drugs and weapons with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And this was in a time when people did not understand Bitcoin, and so they didn't know you could trace it. But we got to get over that. that's not the primary use case anymore.
Right.
The primary use case is to keep your purchasing power and as a store of value.
Okay. What I want to talk about now, I want to kind of shift into the potential that's there.
Yeah.
So those that are watching, I've kind of hit some of these negative things that are out there that have been out there floating for a while. I'm 100% over them, but I want to hit them for the viewers of, they're going to have these questions, right? They'll probably have more questions. Matter of fact, on this note, if they do have just questions about it, I don't think you get your book, but they can also just go to your website and you got videos,
Yes.
stuff over there that they can watch.
I have guides that they can download.
Read, download, take from them, and that's just
uintacrypto.com.
uintacrypto.com. So if they have more questions, they can go there and get more information from you about that. What I want to go into is the potential. So I think it's what a lot of people don't understand, and I'm going to talk strictly from an investing standpoint. Okay, so I'm going to move away from, is it going to replace the gold? Is it going to do this? I just want to talk to you as an investor. A lot of these people that are listening are investors. Is there an investing potential in crypto? And if there is, what does it kind of look like?
And that's why I'm in it, is because of the potential.
Okay.
I mean, I want to increase my portfolio just like any other investor, and I don't see a better risk-reward opportunity than Bitcoin.
Okay.
And so we look at a risk-reward. What is the downside?
Okay.
I mean, obviously, there is a chance that it goes to zero. You have to admit that.
Okay.
Realistically, because of all of the adoption, the amount of users, the companies that are buying it on their balance sheet, the downside is, if you bought it today, is something around 50%.
Okay.
In terms of the upside, there are realistic projections that Bitcoin could reach 200,000 to 400,000 in even just the next 12 months. And where do people get those big, crazy numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
meaning one coin could be worth $200,000
yes,
or $400,000 in 12, 24, 36 months.
Yes.
With not just you, not saying you're predicting this, but there's a lot of noise behind the scene kind of predicting this, even up to $1 million.
Yes. So why people think that's going to happen in the next 12 months is Bitcoin is cyclical.
Okay.
It peaks every 4 years and it troughs every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because of the mining cycle.
Okay.
You see, Bitcoin miners are rewarded 6.25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. But that hasn't always been the case. Before 2020, miners were getting 12.5 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. And 4 years before that, they were getting 25. And 4 years before that, they were getting 50 Bitcoin every 10 minutes.
Okay. So
every 4 years, Bitcoin gets more and more scarce because the amount that is mined gets cut in half.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I were to tell you tomorrow, the news is going to come out and say that the amount of gold mined per day is going to get cut in half, what happens to the price?
Gold's going to go up.
Gold's going to
immediately.
Go up. So this year in 2020, that happened to Bitcoin.
Okay.
It was called the halving. And every time that happens, 12 to 18 or 20 so months later, Bitcoin peaks.
Okay.
So in 2016, the halving caused the mining release schedule to be 12.5 Bitcoin every 10 minutes.
In 2016, there's 12.5 Bitcoins per 10 seconds.
Per 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay.
That made Bitcoin relatively as scarce as silver.
Okay.
Well, we know what happened. Bitcoin went from $600 to $19,000.
Yeah, right at 20 G's, yeah.
With Bitcoin at $19,000, the total market cap of Bitcoin was about $330 billion.
Billion with a B? Okay.
Billion. That actually corresponds to the market cap of silver.
Okay.
And at that time, Bitcoin and silver had basically the same scarcity measurement.
Okay.
Well, now with Bitcoin having only 6.25 Bitcoin mined every 10 minutes, it's relatively as scarce as gold.
Scarcity level.
If you compare like how much gold is mined per day compared to how much gold exists in the world, Bitcoin and gold have the same scarcity measurement.
Okay.
Well, gold has a market cap of 10 trillion.
The total market cap of gold is 10 trillion.
10 trillion.
Okay.
Bitcoin's market cap is 330 billion, roughly.
Okay.
So it would need to increase 30 times to match gold.
Okay.
And if the models are correct, Bitcoin could reach that market cap by the end of 2021 as it has the same scarcity as gold.
Gotcha.
So you're looking at...
You're saying the potential here, if you follow the wave, if you will, of 2016, when it matched silver
Yes.
with cap rate and scarcity.
Yep.
If it does that with gold this time, because it's already there with scarcity basically.
Yes.
So therefore, if it kicks in and hits gold's cap rate market, then it could go up 30 times or 25, whatever the number is exactly.
The peak would be $500,000.
Would be the peak on one Bitcoin.
Yeah.
If
Which seems
it did this.
astronomical, and I even have a hard time believing that. So let's just assume that it's 100,000.
Right.
That's a 5x return in the next 12 months.
Right.
With a 50% downside. Tell me another investment opportunity.
So what you're saying basically is that for someone listening right now, not you're giving financial advice, nor am I, but the idea or the concept could be, you could buy a Bitcoin. Let's just say you bought it for what it is going right now, around $18,000, I think, a coin right now. Let's just say that you invested $18,000 and you bought one coin. You own one coin. In theory, what you're kind of talking about here is that worst case scenario, Bitcoin goes down in value, and let's say that it loses half of its value. It's kind of a doomsday scenario.
Yes.
It loses half its value. So you invested 18,000, you end up losing 9. Now, as that's going down, if you got down to 14 and you're like, hey, I'm out, I want to sell, you could go sell it at 14.
For sure.
Okay. So downside, let's say, is at 9, because I would think at 9, I'd be bailing. If it was at about 18 and it was dropping.
At $9,000, my thesis is wrong and I need to bail.
Yeah, and you bail, okay? You lose $9,000 of your money, you invested 18 on one coin, you lose 9,000. What you're saying is that's in a worst case. In a best case scenario, following the silver of what happened in 2016 to the gold in 2020, that it could go up to one coin being worth $500,000, $500,000 for one coin. In a best case unicorn scenario, it hits $500,000.
This is the same thing as investing in Facebook, Google, Amazon in 2012.
Well, I would say it's probably better than that, actually.
Well, listen to this. It is, you're right. But in 2012, those companies had market caps of about 300 billion, just like Bitcoin does.
Yeah.
And now all those companies are worth 1 trillion.
Right.
8 years later. The reason that Bitcoin's better is because it's going to take 1 year.
Right. Yeah.
Instead of 8.
The speed of return that you can get there, and if it goes not 500, but it goes halfway decent, maybe you, like what you're saying, you hit $100,000 on one coin. You invested 18,000, it goes up to $100,000 for that one coin.
Yeah.
And now you are valued at $100,000. And then the question is, do you sell it or do you hang on to it to
it just
keep
depends
going
on
up?
your time frame.
Yeah, where you're at in life and some other factors, right? So just from an investor standpoint, for those listening, kind of the potential there is there's some massive investment potential
Right.
that could happen, that is currently going on. I mean, in the last maybe year, Bitcoin has went from around $3,500, $4,000 a coin to, as we sit here today, just over $18,000 a coin in the last 12 months, basically, which is already, if it was at $4,000 a coin, you're already at a 4-time multiplier.
Yeah, so I think it started at around 8,000 a coin and then dipped to 35, 4,000 with COVID.
Yeah.
And then has rebounded all the way.
All the way back up to like 18,000 as we sit here today. It's around 18,000. Now it plays right now, you guys have to look it up, but as we sit here today, we looked it up. It's like 18 and just over 18,000.
People always ask me, how much should I invest to get a meaningful return? I was like, well, what if you just start with 1% of your investable assets?
Okay.
You then take your downside 50%. So if it goes down, you're left with 99.5% of your net worth.
Yeah.
But then if it does do the 10x, I mean, you're looking at having 110%. So you have a negligible downside with a meaningful upside potential.
Yeah.
To me, it's just a no-brainer. I mean, I really don't know
why people don't.
Yeah.
Well, I think probably the reason they don't is just lack of understanding it, lack of knowledge.
Of education.
Which kind of is what you're getting into in your, I know you have a course coming out, but it's not a course of high-end, getting into these deep, crazy weeds that no one's going to freaking understand, be able to follow, like which is out there in Bitcoin. And it's out there in stocks as well. It's out there in real estate as well. You're hitting it from, hey, this is the steps that you need to understand how Bitcoin works, the philosophy of it, the mindset of it, and why you should invest in it.
Yeah, in the world, there's, I think, 5% adoption of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That means there's 95% of the world that hasn't touched it.
Yeah.
And I want to cater to those.
Right.
That will get overwhelmed.
Not the 5%, but the 95%.
The 95%.
Right.
Catering to them, talking to them, simply being their guide so they don't make dumb decisions
Yeah.
to miss out on this opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. When I was teaching real estate investing, one of the things that I think made me successful as a teacher was that I was able to take a complicated subject of real estate investing, but break it down so that anybody could understand it in usable steps to them without talking over their head. I could just say, look, here's how it works so you can understand it. And just hanging out with you today, I think you have that same gift of like, I'm gonna take a super complicated subject like electrical engineering or in this case, cryptocurrency, but you're breaking it down for the average person like me to be able to understand it and process it without having to be a master at it.
Yeah. And for me, I'm considered a millennial.
Sure.
And if I didn't have Bitcoin, I wouldn't have a lot of hope.
Yeah.
Us as millennials, we have thousands of student debt. If we're trying to buy our first home,
right,
that's upwards of $400,000. It can just be so overwhelming, the prospect of ever retiring or ever getting ahead. And Bitcoin gives me hope.
Yeah, I could totally see the hope part of it there. Let me ask you just a simple question here and maybe give the viewers maybe bullet points or some quick response here. Just from a high level view, if I ask you the question, should they invest in Bitcoin, right? Just should someone invest in Bitcoin, what would your answer be?
100% yes.
Okay.
You should invest in Bitcoin because of the minimal downside and the potential upside. Combined with the fact that this is a new technology and new technology is going to be adopted. It's already won the race of all the different competitors. Bitcoin is here to stay and it will continue to go up.
Yeah. I almost think about like I do real estate. That's obviously my kind of forte there is like when I look at a house that maybe I'm going to buy, fix and sell or something. If you sent me to a house that said, hey, Drew, you can buy this house for, I'm going to make a number here. Well, I'll just use the numbers of crypto to keep it close. You can buy this house here for $20,000. You own this house right here. Worst case scenario, the house is going to go down in value and you're going to lose some equity in the property and it's going to go from 20,000 to 10,000. Best case scenario, Drew, you're going to buy this house for 20 grand and in 2 years from now, it's going to be worth, whatever, $1 million. I asked myself, would I buy that house? Right? Like, would I buy the house? Yeah, I'd buy the house. I would buy the house.
Well,
why wouldn't I buy the house?
As a real estate investor, you have confidence that the value of real estate long term is going to go up.
Right.
Because it is a scarce asset. There's only so much land. And that is the exact same thing.
They're not making more of it.
They're not making more of it. The same thing with Bitcoin.
Right.
There's only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist. And when you understand how scarce it is, you start spending as much time as you can to figure out how you can gain as many of those as possible.
Yeah. And just putting kind of your money where your mouth is here, you made a comment earlier to me as we were just kind of walking around that you're like all in on crypto, Bitcoin as an investor. Like you're not sitting here talking about like, oh, well, I do this or this. Like, no, you're all in, dude.
And it's not house money that I'm playing with. Like, I made the money in 2017 and then I sold out completely.
Right.
And then I had to get all the way back in. So like I got used to that amount of money.
Right.
It's not like I'm still playing, thinking I only have 13,000 and I'm playing with this.
Right, right.
Like this is money that I am using to live on every day that I can't afford to lose.
Right.
But I have the confidence that there's no better way, no better place for it.
Yeah. It's awesome, dude. Crypto is one of those things that I freaking love. I have not regretted investing in it. I invest all kinds of stuff, businesses, all kinds of stuff, right? But I have not, and I've lost some on crypto, but just stepping back, looking at it, like I wouldn't say that I regretted investing in my crypto. It has paid off for me. I have lost, but it has also paid off for me. Like real estate, I've lost money on real estate before. It doesn't stop me from investing in real estate though, right? And I've made money in real estate, right? And I think crypto, I think people just have to kind of open their brain and their eyes into what the potential is there. And I look at it strictly as an investing. Let's take the currency side of it and set that aside. Let's take the government and set that aside, and the Federal Reserve, set all that stuff aside. Just look at it from an investment. Look at your risk and look at your reward. Because that's all investors do anyways, right?
Yes.
Is they look at risk and they look at reward. If someone thinks, yeah, but Drew, it's already at 18,000, Spencer, have they missed out yet?
Absolutely not.
He's
That's
buy
the
it.
whole-
Buy
I mean,
it.
Well, I mean, that's the whole reason I wrote my book, and it's called Bitcoin, You're Not Too Late, because
Yeah, yeah.
you're not too late.
Yeah.
Even if you, I mean, Bitcoin is going to hit 100,000. If you have a long-term perspective, you're not too late then.
Right.
Like, we are going to see $1 million Bitcoin
Sometime
eventually.
sometime in the future, you think?
Probably within the next 10 years.
Yeah. Who was it was saying, it was last go around, it might have been McAfee, who's a crazy guy anyways, but I think, was he saying that Bitcoin was going to get like he could see it going to 100 million a coin at one day? Was it him? Was it 100 million?
I don't know.
Or it might have been a million he was talking about.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
think it
remember.
was a million.
It was like, I remember when he said it, when he came out and he was on some interview and he's like, and that's the McAfee security on computers, which the guy itself is like a Looney Tune crazy dude, but he's big into crypto as well. And I think like it was 2016, he's like, I don't know why you guys are freaking out trying to sell Bitcoin now at 20.
Right.
He's like, I'm telling you, it's going to be at $1 million, or I forget what the number he used, but it was some crazy number.
And that's
but now it's like, yeah, actually, I think I could see that happening.
That's why people, most of the people in your audience have a hard time getting into crypto, because they see characters like him.
Yeah.
That are pompous and they are grandiose, and that's not who they identify with.
Correct.
I'm trying to identify with the common, the lay investor that has, earned their money the hard way, and I just don't want them to miss out on this next opportunity.
This crazy wave that's coming through. This is the money assigned. He'll fill it out here, and he'll put the big John Hancock right there. Don't show anybody this answer though. All right, so
I'm hiding this?
Yeah, you give it to me, then we're gonna talk about it. This is literally what we do in the Money is Show. He's a lefty. No one's used this word yet. That's good. Big Hancock on it. All right. Give me a marker first. All right, here we go. Spencer's word is money is, if you can imagine this, Bitcoin. There we go. Money is Bitcoin. So it's the first time I've ever had the answer. What does that mean? Why?
Money is Bitcoin because, well, first of all, Bitcoin is money.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay.
But the reason that it has value is because it is scarce.
Mm-hmm.
The more that something gets printed and is available, there's no value to it. And the reason that it's now valued is because it's divisible, it's easily be able to transport it, can share it. It can be used for any payment. It's way better than any currency, any gold. It's just better.
Money is Bitcoin. It is true that with scarcity and Federal Reserve, right, the printing of diluting of the dollar. I heard a great. I think it was from Kiyosaki. It had a great quote that said, "Gold was God's currency. Money is government currency, and Bitcoin is the people's currency." You heard that one before?
Yeah.
So Bitcoin is the people's currency.
I don't want to get it confused. Bitcoin is not currency. It's not going to be used to buy a car or going to buy your coffee. It's going to store your value.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to then convert that to a different form of payment to buy something, but it's still going to be used as money.
Is Bitcoin going to go up in value from where it's at?
So it's at 30,000. All-time high was 42,000 so far. So it's down 30%. If it goes back to all-time high, that's already a 40% return from here. We will see, I mean, to think that the peak of Bitcoin just happened is kind of insane, right? Like, businesses are buying billions of dollars of it just a month ago. They're not selling that. They bought that for a long term. Mm-hmm. So we're going to see all-time highs within the next 4 months. We're going to see 100,000 to 200,000 in the next 12 months.
I love it, man. I got a ton more questions for you. If they want to follow you, though, not from your website, but you just personally, or maybe your a company social media, what's your main platform you're on?
Well, I'm very active on LinkedIn.
Okay.
You can just follow me, Spencer Montgomery on
LinkedIn. Is that
LinkedIn.
just your name, Spencer Montgomery, on LinkedIn?
Or
okay.
I'm active on Instagram every day.
Okay.
At Uinta_crypto.
Uinta_crypto on Instagram. And are you giving little pieces of maybe advice or information on Instagram?
Yes.
With crypto?
I'm posting kind of the biggest headlines, links to my newsletter.
So that'd be a good place for them to follow you right away.
Yes.
Just so they want to keep up to date with what's freaking going on.
Yes.
Without them having to go do the research, you're kind of pulling the biggest news and putting it out there for them to go read and look at.
Right.
Final words of advice. If you gave some final words of advice to the viewers who are out there watching, investors who are thinking, man, I'm into real estate, I'm into stock, what would be some final words of advice you would give them on cryptocurrency?
The best advice that I could give them would be to do not fall for the false messages you've heard.
Okay.
Do educate yourself so that you're comfortable investing in Bitcoin.
Okay.
The biggest mistake that you can make as an investor
Okay.
is not buying Bitcoin today.
I want to do a deal with you. Okay. What's today's date?
It is the 10th of December.
Yeah, December 10th, 2020 right now.
2020.
Let's get back in a year.
Okay.
It'd be crazy. Let's get back in a year from now, and we need to make notes in the show notes of what Bitcoin is trading at today, as of today, December 10th, and maybe I'll even have the guys put it on the YouTube notes, so we have it stored on YouTube. And let's come back in a year, and let's see where we're at in a year from now. Because dude, it'd be freaking crazy if in a year from now you had the writing on the wall a year ago telling everybody to invest, and freaking a year later it's at 100,000. It's gonna be interesting. Let's meet back in a year, December 10th, 2021, and I'll have the guys take the notes and put in all the stuff there for us, so the value of it. And do you want to make a prediction on what you think Bitcoin will be a year from now?
I can't make a prediction of where it will be, but it will have touched 70,000
Okay.
at one point.
At some point, you're saying.
Before a year from now.
Yeah, so some point before December 10th, 2021, your prediction is somewhere in there, it's going to hit 70 G's per coin.
Per coin.
It's going to hit, not exactly knowing where it's going to be on December 10th, 2021, but you think it will have hit 70,000 by that point right there. I love it, man. It's one of those most intriguing topics out there, especially on the Money Is show of where crypto is and where it's headed and what it can do. We didn't even get into the government side of it and all that side of it that's happening, the banking side of it. We didn't get to any of that stuff there. Again, I would just tell them, if you're interested in crypto, don't come to me because I don't have it. Freaking go to Spencer here and your website, uintacrypto.com, and you guys get some more information there on all that stuff. Or follow them on Instagram. That's what I'm going to do, is hit you on Instagram as well. So hope you guys enjoyed the Money Is show. We will see you next time on the Money Is show. This is Spencer Montgomery with uintacrypto.com.